Okay, you all good? Let's do it. Hello and welcome to the B2C Lead Generation Podcast.
This is episode 59, the role partner marketing can play in lead gen. And today we have Zach Measures from Everflow to help us try and work through this subject. How you doing, Zach? Welcome to the show.
Good. And it's not just a icebreaker, but 59 is my lucky number. Seriously. So
is it? Why is that?
It really is. It really is.
I've never heard someone have such a large lucky number before.
Yeah, it's when I was a kid, I lived in 59 Westbourne Street. So that was the lucky number. So I'm glad to be joining you guys on episode 59.
on this auspicious day.
Has it brought you any luck in like any other points in your life you've been like, oh yeah, that number's popped up?
No, it really hasn't. I'd love to say yes, but it really hasn't.
I thought I could set you up for a good story there, and I've spoiled it. Sorry, Zach. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. We're going to start pretty basic with this. In your own words, what exactly is partner marketing?
Sure. So the term partner marketing really comes from an advancement of affiliate marketing, which hopefully viewers and listeners will be familiar with. But to maybe take a step back from that, affiliate marketing traditionally is usually someone else that's in the business of sending users to either your landing pages or pages that you represent on behalf of clients. So let's say I would be an agency, I would go out to an affiliate, I would provide them with a link, what's called a tracking link, that links back to that affiliate. And so now I know that these affiliates ran activity for these advertisers over this period. And what's happened is that the marketplace within the affiliate space has got more and more complex. And there's lots of modular ways of approaching different audiences. And so partner marketing is really an evolution of that. We use the term partners here at Everflow because a partner can cover quite a broad church of anyone that's in the business of sending users to a specific landing page or a specific point within your app. So that could be traditional affiliates. It could be a blogger, an emailer, but it also could be influencers, but also increasingly, as we see within the lead generation space, partner channels, for example, like native, so Taboola, Outbrain, Facebook, TikTok, all of these things are unified together to form partners. And what a big trend is, obviously, clients, regardless of their industry, are using a disparate range of partners to help them drive more users, higher value users, and so on.
This, and I'm guessing a lot of it can come from like brand direct, where they're going out to publishers and then they need a way to manage all of that. And like you said, giving out different links to enable all that partner marketing and the tracking of it. So yeah. What's the, which is it used more by, do you think, by the brands or by networks and agencies?
Well, both of them use it very heavily. We at Everflow have seen like a rise in more direct advertisers in the last sort of 2 years. I think that's kind of accelerated by COVID, accelerated by lots of B2B businesses are now using Everflow for complex sales cycles that traditionally would have required meeting people and so on. That's been forced into an online environment, and their version of partners can be very, very broad, right? It could be a referring business. It could be, a venture capital company or a credit broker or someone like that, where you can provide referral links or specific links to take people through to specific landing pages or places within apps to do something, essentially.
Cool.
And obviously this is based on the title of Lead Gen podcast. So how do we link that? How do you link partner marketing to lead gen, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of people are buying leads from lots of different, areas of the internet, broadly speaking, right? So whether you're doing email activity, whether you're buying on those native platforms that we mentioned, Taboola, Outbrain, whether you're advertising on Facebook, to bring that all together, you need a platform like Everflow so that you're not logging in to all these disparate channels. You can see this unified dashboard and you can say, great, I'm now working with 50 different partners, for example, and where the value that we add is that, okay, you can obviously create tracking links, very straightforward. You can create something called direct linking, which enables you to run activity on Facebook and Google. But then you can also give those partners or affiliates a dashboard branded within your look and feel as a login. Invoicing can be automated through the platform. You can initiate payments through the platform. So it gives like a really good way of scaling across a lot of different partners that are driving traffic for you or for your advertisers. And then, of course, where we connect with Databall is that Databall does all the verification and routing and all that good stuff that you're known for to send those users off to potential different buyers.
Yeah. What's so do you know, with the tracking that's going on, what is it that's actually being tracked? So obviously you've got stuff like, I don't know, a lead has been generated or a sale has happened, but is there anything else that companies or networks or agencies track within that, and how is it sort of applied? Like, what is it what do they glean from the knowledge of this other stuff, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question, and kind of it's a weird one because I kind of I'm going to answer this enthusiastically. No one usually bounces out of bed to talk about attribution. But when you kind of
I do constantly.
When you get into it, all we do at Everflow is provide a toolbox, and what is exciting is about how people use that toolbox. So to come to your point there, Simon, like, what is being tracked? Well, there's lots you can track, right? You can generate a link which you can give to an affiliate, a partner. So let's say it's for a home insurance lead or a funeral plan or something like that for lead generation. You can provide them a tracking link. You can then start to run reports as they send you traffic. But what you can do as an agency or as a brand is to provide your final advertiser, or if you're the advertiser yourselves, you can link to your own CRM. Basically, you can track what we call events, different stages of different offers. So here's a user. Now they come through to a landing page. Obviously, we measure everything from the impression, like they're seeing a video, for example, a video campaign of an elderly couple holding hands on a sunlit beach.
That sounds romantic. Carry on.
You can run a report to say, okay, show me a date and time stamp. How long, for example, are people watching a 30-second commercial, maybe only 15 seconds? You can see what devices people are using to watch that, mobile, desktop, etc. The click comes through. Now we process everything at the click level here. So to give you a sense of scale, we process around 15 billion clicks a month. We use the Google Cloud platform for that. And we process all these clicks in real time. So you can see from that click, all of this non-personally identifiable information of the device type, the user agent, the location, everything around that user. And then they go through to the landing page, the form is completed. What's interesting is what's beyond that. So we have these different stages, which we call events within Everflow. And this will allow a marketer, whether it's brand, in-house, or an agency, to say, okay, I'm sending users to these landing pages, and now they're going through to a KYC or a demo or a follow-up from an agent. Now they're being verified, whatever that is. You can run reports. We do this via something called a Postback, which sits on the landing page and can record these different stages as a user goes through. And if that's happening offline within a CRM environment like HubSpot or Salesforce, that's all tracked as well. So what it allows you to do is to say, hey, I'm sending users that are reaching stage 3 of 7 for this particular advertiser. Why is that? Does the landing page need to be improved? Are the end advertiser working that lead fast enough? If not, maybe I can just route those to another advertiser if I'm an agency, or if I'm the brand itself, I need to figure out why that's happening. So the more granular you get, the more these marginal gains that you can make over time, which are huge, right? Not only for you as the brand, but also if you're working with affiliates or partners, they've got an opportunity cost. I'll send you 1,000 clicks. How much am I going to make from those 1,000 clicks, right? So if you're working very hard and looking deep into the funnel as the user goes into that, you can be optimizing that for yourself and for your affiliates, and obviously for the advertiser, the brand itself. These are more qualified leads, higher conversion rates, which leads to bigger budgets, maybe faster payment cycles. It's this whole virtuous cycle that we were talking about the other day, Simon.
Well, I think what's interesting about it is this concept of feedback loops and the transparency between like the end buyer of leads and the events that are happening post the lead coming into them. And then that, exactly like you said, feeding back to the origination point, which potentially could even be the type of ad that's shown on a specific page within a publisher's website. And exactly like you said, if they had, I don't know, they were split testing 2 videos of 30 seconds each, and what they could do is figure out from the conversions that happen at the back end, rather than necessarily just tracking clicks, feed that all the way back up to like Everflow, and then know which one resonates more with the audience. So the publisher knows where they can earn more money by attracting the right audience. I think it fits perfectly within this idea of the feedback loops between lead generators, lead buyers, publishers, everything else, and just drives the right type of offers for the right type of people. And it, exactly like you said, the virtuous circle, it ends up becoming like a win-win-win for everybody. It works really well with partner marketing, that sort of thing, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Because one thing that we've seen that a lot of lead generation companies are using, and we've got a shared client that's doing this, where they are taking a landing page from, let's say, a company within the financial space. They're using what's called our direct linking for this. So there's 2 ways really of tracking, or we've got about 3 different ways, but 2 main ways that companies use to track. One is what's called a standard redirect link. So we create a link in the system, which now spits out a link that looks like xyz.com, whatever it is. Okay, you can give that to an affiliate, and then when a user sees that link or creative that calls that link, what happens is something called a redirect. So they're now hitting our server. We store something called a transaction ID, and we can say, okay, now let's redirect them to that landing page. And all of the targeting, all the pricing, everything like that happens at this redirect stage. What we've seen a real rise in for lead buyers specifically within the agency space is something called direct linking, where Facebook and Google deem this redirect as a poor user experience, because Google doesn't know what's at the end of that anonymous looking tracking link, right? They want to see the final, what's called the final destination URL of the advertiser. So let's call them funeralplans.com, whatever it is. And what Everflow has is something called direct linking, which will allow you to create funeralplans.com and then the offer that it relates to and the affiliate ID that it relates to. So now it's all Facebook compliant, and Facebook were actually saying to Everflow, this is the tightest attribution they've seen for people that have built this. And we have a Facebook conversion API. So here comes a click from Facebook, goes into the Everflow, it goes to the landing page. We fire back some information back to Everflow, can go to, data bowl, deep into the user flow. All of that data now gets passed into Everflow, but it gets also passed upstream back into Facebook. So if you are optimizing within Facebook, that data now is passed all the way through. So anything from like an impression to a demo follow-up can be also passed back into Facebook. So you can make further optimizations on your audience or the cohort of users that you're looking to buy on Facebook.
I didn't know that direct linking. So what they'll do is sort of penalize the amount of traffic that you're sent because you're hosting an affiliate link rather than the direct link that's the end destination for the user.
Yeah. There's some estimates like between sort of 20 and 30% of links that use this redirect method don't work on Facebook. So it's not kind of like something that's well known necessarily, but often people will come to us and say, we're having real problems trying to tie in the attribution between Facebook, Google, and our other activity. And so usually what they'll say is, Facebook tells me 10, Facebook tells me 10, but I know I've got 25. Like, where are we going wrong? And that's where this direct linking, because it's a conversion API to Facebook, it's super tight. So you can just pull it all together, and then you get this unified dashboard of like, okay, Everflow is my source of truth. I want to run a report to see what we're doing in Facebook, Google, affiliate A, B, C, and so on.
It's interesting because in the past, people would just put an image pixel on the back end of the thank you page and relied on that firing. And obviously, we all know what's happening with them. They can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a good workaround.
Yeah, because I mean, cookies and things like that, like we don't even have that now as an option to track. It's just so unreliable. You know?
Yeah.
One thing I've made a note of, you've been talking, Zach, it's the word partner marketing. It may be a semantic thing, but I feel like there's an implication of a relationship in there, maybe more so than just affiliate, the word partner. What I kind of want to ask is, how can lead generators, brands, publishers, etc., go about building these relationships?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think that word partner does lend itself to that. Going back to Simon's favorite analogy of the virtuous circle, you know,
nice circle.
If people are being, because the transparency, which I know Data Bowl is a real advocate of transparency within the lead gen industry. If transparency is shared from, you know, the lead buyers, the partners, etc., that's where you can really get the benefits of these partners. So for, let's say, an affiliate that was, you know, if you were adopting a sort of mushroom strategy with affiliates of like, right, we'll just keep them in the dark, and, you know, we'll let them know how many sales they've made at the end of the month. The affiliate has very little to go on in terms of optimizing. So whether it's, you know, different subsources of traffic or times of day or whatever it is that they are working to try and create better and better performing ads. But partners, you know, require this information for them to optimize and so on. So I think good ways of building partners is sharing the transparency that you have. So if you're a brand yourself, be transparent with the partners of, this is what the traffic's doing. Obviously, things like payment gets sort of overlooked with all this tech, but, you know, make sure you're actually paying the partners. And as you know, if you can set up things like events deep within your user flow, then you can record that information and tell the partners when they're actually doing revenue generating events or activities and not just pure leads, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to get not just leads, it's actual sales that everyone's trying to kind of reach.
It reminds me of a talk that's coming up at Lead Gen World on Monday.
Oh, there we go. Check it out. Check it out. So yeah, I mean, those are the big things. And then it's corny to say that kind of like relationships do really help. So as you were saying, like these return to conferences now, getting to know the partners, getting to know, okay, you know, where are you getting your traffic from? But then also having the insight to see what's going on through, you know, technologies like Everflow. You can basically see, okay, this is where all my partners are logging in from. So if you are meeting a company that says, you know, we're based in Sheffield, but you see they're all logging in from Vietnam, there's questions to be asked there, right?
So what initiates the relationship more, do you think? Is it the publishers going out to brands and saying, we want to drive traffic for you? Is it brands accessing a marketplace, or, I don't know, using an agency or a network or something? How does the actual initiation? So if I'm a brand and I suddenly want to start partner marketing, what is like the first action I can do to make that happen?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And kind of like the housing market, there's a lot of demand there, and always looking for supply, right? So if you are a quality publisher, you will have a real pick of which brands that you can work with. And so for brands, a good starting point to kind of work with is, and this is something that we've been focusing on for the last year, is we have a marketplace within Everflow. So you can access vetted forms of traffic, so vetted publishers. And often that's one of the key things that a brand will look for in terms of like, I just want to get scaling, you know, how can you help in that regard?
Yeah, that's because I always think that must be something that they struggle with, is just meeting exactly like you said, where am I actually going to get quality traffic from? Because if you just put it out into the ether without vetting, without due diligence, it's definitely when you can sort of see problems arise and things. So yes, great model working like that.
And it's kind of worth saying, if you are a brand and you're doing your own lead generation at the moment through your own internal efforts, whether it's Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you're, buying traffic from, it's a really good idea to have all of that dialed down before you even start an affiliate program, because what you shouldn't really be using partners for is like a testing ground for unvetted landing pages or unvetted creatives, because these partners will be spending their own media buying money, which is great if you're a brand, because someone else is buying media on I was going to say their dime. I've been working for Americans too long, but their pounds,
penny.
their dollars, yeah, their bank account. But really, like, again, coming back to this point, like, if the opportunity cost is I could be running someone else's campaign that's going to be earning me double the eCPM or double the EPCs, whatever that is. Like, partners will move quite quickly unless you've built up that relationship with them where you can say, hey, we're testing this new creative, we'd like you to run it, and so on.
And so we talk about the quality of publishers, and obviously they can pick who they want, but is there a volume of traffic that they need as well? I'm just imagining there's a really good publisher that you could work with, but they're going to get you 3 sales a month. Would brands or agencies consider working at that smaller scale, or is there like a natural ceiling to volume that they want, or something, or a natural bottom, I guess, the volume?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and again, sort of without being biased here, but like the tool that you use for your partner marketing program should enable you to run affiliates or partners at scale with very little in the way of manual work, right? So for example, things like automatic invoice creation is one thing, but then maybe setting a threshold that the invoice is only generated after X amount of money, right? So if an affiliate comes on, they're fantastic quality, but they're only doing 3 leads a month. If all of that housekeeping work is automated, then yeah, great. Let's have like 200 of those guys, right? Where it becomes problematic in the past is if you had to send out that invoice, you had to run reports, all the rest of it. You really want, this kind of just ticking along and growing. And so we see that kind of scale thing as a big sort of trend, I guess.
I think that automation, like you speak, is the key, isn't it? It's funny because a lot of people think automation matters when you're doing it at scale, and it does 100%. But actually, at a really granular, small level, it does as well. Because exactly like you said, if you've got 3 leads a month coming from somewhere, and someone has to go and like manually do something, it's probably going to cost you more than potentially the leads would. So is that something you guys do then? You have an invoice being sent on? That's a good idea.
Yeah. So you can set invoice thresholds. You can set how often you want to pay those publishers, whether it's monthly, weekly, whatever it is. You can organize your publishers in tiers. So let's say, hey, you're doing well sending 3 leads a month, but we will pay you X extra if you start sending 10 leads a month or something like that. And that can be automated. So you can automate the upscaling of those affiliates. And then there's also things like communicating with the affiliates can be automated as well. So whether it's signing up, scheduling a new offer, being approved for certain offers, you can broadcast these out to the affiliates. And then when it comes to payment, like I said, automated invoicing, the threshold, and we actually do something called Everflow Pay, where we initiate and process those payments for you as well.
Nice.
This may be a basic question to ask at this point, but I think I'm going to ask it because I think it's important for the people listening, especially the brands and lead generators. What do you think are the opportunities for partner marketing if people are new to this? Just to sort of focus in on that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think the number one thing is to not be intimidated by the technology, right? You can get kind of lost in all the micro, optimizations and all the buzzwords and things like that, but to have like a very clear idea of what it is that you want to do. So if you're a brand, and let's say you're a larger brand that has several call centers that you want to ping out and distribute leads to, really thinking about, or if you're an agency in a similar boat, really thinking about, okay, what constitutes, a successful action? Have that kind of very clear in your mind of, this is what we want users to do. Then you can align the events to match those different stages. Okay. Then you can maybe access, our marketplace to start scaling. And then a lot of it is things like, finding out where that audience sort of resides, whether it is on Facebook, TikTok, is it on LinkedIn, thinking about what you're doing and to come up with something that separates you from other people is quite important, to create something that you do better than anyone else, and to be very good at one particular thing, or to be known for one particular thing is a way of kind of separating yourself out from everyone else.
That's what I try to do in the house with the washing up, and then don't get asked to do anything else.
The exact opposite. I try and do it really badly, so then.
Well,
high value advice here.
So I think as well, so if we think of like some classic lead generation channels, we look at PPC, social with Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that, native, and they're all quite well. PPC is high intent, and then the intent of the leads coming through, if they're qualified via a landing page, can be good on social and native. I've sometimes seen lead generators potentially be slightly afraid of affiliate marketing. If we call it partner marketing, maybe it'll make it more palatable for them. But why do you think that is? What is it that's, for me, like I see the opportunity, right? The difference is it's just like a traffic source. It's working with another site rather than a walled garden sat within the internet. But what is it that you think drives that slight fear from some networks, or not networks, it be agencies and brands? And how can they overcome that?
Yeah, well, I think the fear is in some sense justified for both either networks and brands, right? And really it's kind of two things. It's like transparency and control. I'm giving someone a link. I've got no idea how it's going to feature, where it's going to feature, and so on, right? In maybe whereas I can go onto Facebook, or I can go onto Taboola or Outbrain. I can control the creatives. I can, make it look exactly how I want. And maybe there is some truth to that to some degree. But what we're seeing now, and a lot of, say, B2B companies, where these are very, very high ticket sort of items that are using Everflow, like opening a bank account or seeking capital infusions for your business. These are large companies that are now being open to partner marketing. Is like, you can control a lot of things if you can control everything at the click level. So, you can, for example, host all your creatives. And so ensure that your affiliates are passing through a creative ID that syncs with the library of approved creatives that you have. You can get them to pass through sub-sources, and, you see all of this information that comes through. Things like click to conversion time, anti-fraud measures are very important to initiate. So you get a real kind of sense and a signature of the traffic as it starts to come through. Because one thing that the system can do, just generally, that, within the industry is kind of like, this automation thing. There's a lot that can be automated to just remove traffic that falls outside of a signature that's acceptable to you. So if someone's coming through, and let's say it's a mortgage lead, and you put like a click to conversion time of, if this user comes through and clicks, under, completes this field in under 20 seconds or whatever it is, we will just stop that campaign, from that sub source of the affiliate. And that I think is where a lot of brands were like, well, I'm just throwing my brand out into the ether, right? And I don't know how it's being promoted and all the rest of it. But with all the signals and particularly if you're automating the policing of those signals, you can pick things up like very, very quickly, you know, and just shut those down. And then there are some really great sources, right? Because we mentioned, you know, Google, Facebook, native, but you've also got TikTok, you've also got emails, you've also got business blogs, things like QR codes. You know, we've seen like now a kind of rise of something that seems very old, but with COVID, people are now used to using QR codes. You can meet someone at a trade show or things like this, create a link within the platform that generates a QR code, have that on your business card or something. And these are very legitimate ways of driving high value users to go on and complete something.
Yeah. I was thinking the other thing is, I was just thinking while you were talking as well, is that a lot of affiliate marketing, or let's say stuff in the past, has been driven by the idea of ads on websites. And what you do is actually interact with a programmatic exchange. And so you go, I want traffic to this, and then it's splurged all over the internet. And I actually think that might be part of the problem as well, is that in the past, and it still happens now, but in the past, you've had very, very little control over where that splurge has happened.
Yeah.
You know, there's a general thought now that a lot of bots might have been involved in these programmatic exchanges. Not that they were involved. It's just, you know, if you had a website and it suddenly had a website no one's ever heard of, and it's suddenly got 1 million visits a day, it's, you know, like, where's that come from? But I think this is why the wording of partner marketing makes it so much better, because really what this is about is an alignment between a brand and a publisher, where they share something in terms of the user that they both want. It's basically like a relationship. And like you said, with, I don't know, funeral plans, for example, if it was lead generation, you know, if you go to silversurfers.com or something, you know, some website that I think that actually exists, by the way, I've not just made it up.
It does exist, yeah.
You know, you share an audience, and and if you can give that person a link and place a banner with them and remove the bots and remove the programmatic exchange and create this pure partner marketing, that I think is where the lead generation element really starts working as well, because, you know, the alignment is so high. And the reason why lead gen runs on certain channels in comparison to like programmatic is you can't hide in lead gen. You can't put it behind the veil of brand awareness. You know, it's driven by either like form fills, so data, and then sales on the back of it. So partner marketing for me should 100% be part of the mix that is in like a lead generator's arsenal or in a brand's arsenal that are then looking to generate leads as well, and viewed in such a way that it is, you know, competing with Google, social, all the other native, everything else. And I think that they get a huge amount of value out of it. And you know, the relationships that could be built with this partner marketing would be great. And the best thing is it just really helps users as well.
Yeah, and you know, like sort of social is a very kind of big box that we talked about there, right? So we've got like a TikTok integration. We're seeing companies actually doing lead gen through TikTok, you know, which is, you wouldn't necessarily think so, right? Because TikTok seems very young, very, you know, certainly miles away from, let's say, a funeral plan, for example. But there are lots of companies, so for example, like the buy now, pay later type businesses, where, you know, these are huge opportunities for like lead generation to connect with, you know, where you can run individual links. And again, going back to this automation, you can have lots and lots of influencers where you can choose how you pay them as well. And this is the kind of cool thing that we've seen. So you can pay on a revenue share, a CPC, a CPM, a CPA, hybrid, whatever you want to do. You can pay out on that basis, and then you can just receive payment from your client, if you're an agency, on any of those metrics as well. And where we've seen kind of people being clever within the system, particularly for lead generation, is, okay, I'm getting paid on a CPC, for example, but I will give it to my publisher on a CPM or a CPA, and just work the system so that, you know, you're just arbitraging both models.
Yeah, it's good.
I just want to quickly ask you one final thing, because you mentioned it there. I think people will be interested. You mentioned the anti-fraud. I mean, I think there's a perception in the affiliate space, especially, that fraud is a big problem. But do you think it exists in the same way in partner marketing? And how do you combat it, especially when generating leads in partner marketing?
Yeah, I think it's always going to be present, right? When you've got, let's say, emailers or whoever, right, that are going to be broadcasting out in mediums that are not visible for the end advertiser. And there's lots you can do in terms of like anti-fraud, processing things at the click level in real time. So whether it's like click to conversion rates, you can apply something called a scrub rate to affiliates. You can include filters to block proxy traffic. You can block out traffic within certain times of day, which is a good one for lead generators. So let's say a call center is open between the hours of 9 to 6. Maybe you want those users that are clicking outside the call center to go to a different landing page, like, hey, the call center's not open now, but submit your details, or whatever that is. And then you can filter out traffic by the sub ID level if it doesn't contain parameters that are important. So whether it's, doesn't contain a creative ID or a user agent or something like that, this can all be done and automated so that you're not policing this on a day-to-day basis. And the system allows you to either block that traffic, notify the affiliates to say, hey guys, you're sending traffic that we don't like, or you can put it to alternative offers. So if you've got, let's say, a lower tier lead buyer that you're working with who's just interested in volume, maybe you can have this waterfall set up in terms of, we're going to route traffic to different quality traffic to different buyers.
That's good. I think the sort of feedback loop in real time plays into this as well, because if you can see what's happening on the ground as a result of the click as a sort of loop, you can make those decisions really quickly, literally track to the sale.
Yeah. I mean, we use a company called Digital Element, who are like the world leaders in geo-based location targeting, and that they provide us with like a library of IP addresses. So we interrogate those clicks in real time for proxy traffic, for example.
Cool.
Thank you to join us today, Zach. I think that's been a really comprehensive overview of the subject. We've really sort of dived into that and covered loads of really valuable stuff, and a relatively short amount of time we've done loads. So thanks so much for that. Are you at Lead Gen World next week?
I am indeed. Yes. So looking forward to seeing anyone that's there. And if anyone requires more information or we've got some good guides, generally without any sort of sales behind that. If people want to see that, then happy to help.
Perfect. Yeah. Cheers, Zach.
Cool. Thanks, guys. All right. Take it easy.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the B2C Lead Generation podcast. Be sure to hit subscribe to hear more from those at the very cutting edge of the lead gen world.